All over our region, researchers are working to gain a better understanding of the Great Lakes, from the wildlife that calls the lakes home to our impact on the lakes themselves. Last fall, I visited the Great Lakes Research Center at Michigan Technological University in Houghton, Michigan, where Hayden Henderson showed me some of the interesting technology he's been using to map the lake beds and the things that live there.
I function at the interface of ecosystems and technology. And really, for me, that stems from the rate of change we're seeing in the Great Lakes and climates in general require the intervention of technology so that we can do things fast enough to understand them.
Like Hayden said, the lakes are changing fast, and it's important to understand how those changes affect everything from wildlife to fishing to shipping. That's why Hayden and others at the Great Lakes Research Center are working with the U.S. Geological Survey and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to do benthic habitat mapping, documenting and classifying the organisms and geology of the lake bottom. The goal is to create a new map that's less about navigation and more about providing detailed data to fishery managers, hatchery managers, and those tracking the spread of invasive species. Why is it so important to understand what's happening at the bottom of our lakes?
I think you could think about a traditional navigation chart. That would be your bathymetric map. And if you've looked at one closely, there are generally subsections or markings of rocky or sandy, very randomly and not in detail throughout the map. What we're trying to do is flip that script so that those maps indicate a very fine resolution detail of the lake bottom. That may not be important to the navigation, but that is critically important to ecosystem managers as they think about what habitat exists below the surface of the water.
Maybe you've heard that we've studied outer space more than our own oceans. Well, we've studied our oceans more than we've studied the Great Lakes. If your job is to make sure we have healthy and productive fisheries or monitor water quality, then that's a problem. The maps Hayden's helping to create aim to show us the information that we need to make smarter decisions about our resources.
It really starts with technology, sonar, so using acoustics from vessels or autonomous vehicles. From that data, we can then derive all the interesting feature sets and anomalies in the lake bottom.
Some data comes from the Ivor 3 autonomous vehicle, which sends acoustic waves left and right as it moves forward. The result is a sonar image that provides the researchers with a view of the lake bed and its features. Sonar is used for a variety of purposes by researchers throughout the Great Lakes.
The Wisconsin Shipwreck Coast in Lake Michigan had their whole sanctuary imaged with sonar. And so all of those wrecks, hundreds, are insonified or sonar images of those features. And so we're able to go investigate them and everything in between.
Shipwrecks are fascinating attractions for divers and historians, but managers and researchers are often interested in environmental threats, toxic substances, or invasive species. For this benthic habitat mapping project, Hayden uses sonar to capture the lake bed shape and identify any formations that they'd want to investigate further. Once the sonar images are analyzed, they'll get a closer look at interesting features, often with a remotely operated vehicle, or ROV. It's like an underwater drone with optical cameras, so the researchers can capture images and video of the lake bottom and the organisms that live there.
So here we have a remotely operated vehicle with the umbilical, or the tether it's called, and we have our video feed live right here. The newer versions of these even use an Xbox controller, and that's just cool and fun. And we have interns from the university that are able to step in and, maybe they're not playing Xbox anymore, they're driving a research vehicle. One of the beauties of creating these maps is that they're not only useful today, but in 10 years or 20 years when we have a new invasive species introduction, or maybe we have a waning of an existing invasive species and we need to know what that's now going to mean to this ecosystem, this food web that's been modified over time.
The data and images that the researchers collect live in a map that gives users a glimpse into what's happening at the bottom of the lakes.
So this is the Coastal Ocean Science NCOS. This is their biomapper. So this is one of the eventual products of this work, where you will be able to access this URL. So you could come in if you were a fisheries researcher or otherwise, and see that image from that exact spatial location.
With a lot of detail.
With a lot of detail throughout, this is 60 nautical miles of coastline.
This ongoing project is a massive undertaking, and Hayden is quick to point out that the GLRC is far from the only team participating in the research.
We have partners all over the Great Lakes and in the country that are contributing to this. We have folks in DC doing artificial intelligence with this data to further our ability to use the observations across the map space.
So not only is this work collaborative, but really some of the work that is happening around mapping these lake beds here in the Great Lakes region, it's actually really informative and meaningful and a national scope.
Absolutely, and none of this happens without everyone chipping in, and we're not all experts in each other's respective fields, and that's the fun part. That's kind of what it takes to make all this work.
At Great Lakes Now, we aim to cover the Great Lakes region and the people who live here, like you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our channel for more videos, and if you'd like to support our work, consider making a donation at greatlakesnow.org. See you out on the lakes.